It started with gunshots in the quiet hills of rural Pennsylvania. A 61-year-old man, known to most as a quiet, reclusive neighbor, opened fire, killing a man next door, and then, in an act of calculated violence, turned his property into a war zone. 2 state troopers wounded, a police drone shot out of the sky, and dozens of rounds echoing through the countryside. But why? And what twisted plan had been brewing behind his closed doors? Thursday afternoon, 3:42 p.m., West Buffalo Township, Union County. The 911 calls came in frantic. Multiple gunshots, a man down in his yard. When first responders arrived, they found Thomas Bell, a 58-year-old father and local handyman, dead on the grass. The man accused of pulling the trigger? Harold Harry Benton, 61. Harry wasn't just standing there waiting to be arrested. He was waiting for them, armed, positioned, and ready to unleash chaos. As state troopers moved toward the property, gunfire erupted from an upstairs window. 2 troopers were hit, one in the shoulder, the other in the leg. A police drone sent up for surveillance was immediately targeted and destroyed midair by a single shot. It wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. This was an ambush. Neighbors later told reporters Harry had been a quiet type, but in hushed tones, they admitted something else. He'd been growing paranoid over the last year. Convinced that Thomas, the man next door, was spying on him, Harry claimed strange cars were driving past his house at night, that cameras were hidden in the trees. He'd complained to a few locals and been ignored. But in Harry's mind, this wasn't just annoyance. It was a war brewing in his head. One he believed he had to strike first to win. Once backup arrived, police realized they were in for a dangerous standoff. Harry was barricaded inside, armed with a semi-automatic rifle, and had full view of every approach to his home. Negotiators tried to reach him, but he didn't respond. Every time law enforcement shifted positions, another burst of gunfire tore through the trees. SWAT teams moved in cautiously, using armored vehicles for cover. Shell casings littered the ground around the property. And then, a disturbing discovery. Harry's windows were sandbagged from the inside, his doors reinforced with heavy steel brackets. This wasn't the home of a paranoid old man losing touch with reality. This was a bunker. The real question wasn't how, it was why. Why kill a neighbor in cold blood? Why wait to attack police? And why spend months fortifying your home? Investigators learned Harry had been a military surplus collector. Inside, they feared they might find a stockpile of weapons or worse, explosives. But there was something else gnawing at detectives. The first 911 call about the shooting came from a blocked number, a number traced to a burner phone. That phone? Found smashed near Harry's back porch. Was it possible Harry had called it in himself, luring officers into his trap? After hours of gunfire, tear gas canisters were fired into the home. The shooting stopped. The property went silent. SWAT teams breached the front door and disappeared inside. What they found would shake the small Pennsylvania community and raise a terrifying question about how long Harry had been planning this. As the gas cleared, tactical officers moved in, rifles raised. The front door, reinforced with steel bars, had to be cut open. Inside, every window was covered with sandbags, giving Harry narrow firing slots. The hallways were blocked with overturned furniture, forcing officers to move single file. The air was heavy with the sharp smell of gunpowder and gasoline. In the kitchen, officers found the first sign this wasn't just about one neighbor. A detailed, hand-drawn map of the neighborhood, with certain houses circled in red. Room by room, the search turned up a disturbing arsenal. Multiple semi-automatic rifles and shotguns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, a homemade barricades made from scrap metal, a workbench stacked with two-way radios and binoculars. On the basement wall, a corkboard displayed photographs of neighbors, license plate numbers, and times of day each person left or returned home. Near a battered recliner, officers found the smashed burner phone that had made the original 911 call, the call that lured police to the scene. Forensic analysis would later confirm it was Harry's fingerprints on the pieces. He had staged the perfect trap, knowing exactly how police would approach. But the most chilling discovery was in a locked storage room. A crude pipe bomb in the early stages of assembly, along with written instructions for making more. Had the standoff gone longer, there's no telling how much damage he could have caused. Harry was found in the upstairs bedroom, unarmed, sitting on the floor with his back to the wall. He surrendered without a word. Later, under questioning, he offered no clear motive, only muttering about spies and surveillance. Psychiatrists would later debate whether he was delusional or dangerously calculating. The case left West Buffalo Township shaken. A quiet neighbor had been living among them, preparing for war, and somewhere in those piles of notes and plans was a list of targets. Most of the names were crossed out. Most, but not all.